Hi everybody, it's Veronica from DesignAholicStudio.com back with another Christmas in August project. This time we're going to do something very different from what I've done on the other videos. I'm going to do a Kleenex box. Tissue box. This is a tissue box and we have these on our site. This is an amazing project. I just love it. It's a beautiful gift. It looks gorgeous in your home. It would look nice done in a number of different ways for every single room in your home. Today I'm going to show you, this is one that has absolutely nothing done on it yet. The one that I've been working on is this one. And I'm going to turn it around to the side. It's completely finished except it's not varnished yet. Move this out of the way because it's a little distracting and move this up. That side is completely finished but not varnished. This side is finished but not varnished. This side will have another circular ornament on the front. This side will be finished today while I'm working so that you can see what I've done. And then I will take it away and varnish it and bring it back and show it to you completely done. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is rice paper from ITD. It's got all these Christmas decals on it. So you can use this for this project, or you can use the four that are left for other projects. They come out beautifully and they have a very, very vintage look. Now, it's very hot here right now. And it's hard to feel Christmassy when it's very hot. So I decided that today I would make my coffee, and I can't tilt this too much for you to see it because I'm going to dump my coffee everywhere. I should have had a little more of it to drink in a Christmas mug. And I thought that might make me feel a little more Christmassy. I don't know if it's working. It's very hot. Anyway, I am going to start with the piece that gets glued onto the middle. And this is a round coaster shape. I have, of course, painted it white to start with, and I did that ahead, so I prepped it. This is the piece of rice paper that I have already ripped out so that I didn't have to do that online. You don't have to separate this. Rice paper does not need to be separated. It's wonderful to work with because it's not quite as fragile. I'm going to put this onto the circle, and that's the very first step. I'm going to use my Stamperia mixed media glue, and here we go. I have my paintbrush here ready to go. I'm going to put the glue on the entire surface because it goes pretty close to the edge. Well, I wanted to mention that when you are tearing out the piece of rice paper, in this particular project, you don't have a lot of excess space around the rice paper. So you have to tear it fairly close to the edge of the pattern or the picture if you want to have a little space to work with afterwards. So as you can see, I've torn it very close to the wreath. I'm going to lay it down. I don't want to cut off his foot, but it looks like I might have to do that a little tiny bit. Otherwise, it's going to be very off-center. And it's hard to see when it's lying down like that. So I guess that's about as good as it's going to get. And I'm just going to spread that out, just like that, onto the glue. And then I'm going to take some more glue and go over the top. Oops, look at that. I hope the glue's not drying. This glue does dry very quickly and it is hot. So the glue might be drying a little too fast, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I had a lot of fun with this project. I can't wait to try another style. And if I do another style, I was thinking I would love to do one for Halloween. If I do that, I will do it as a video so that you can see how I do it. It will be totally different from this approach. And let's see, I might want to go under there a little bit with some more glue. And it looks like I might have a little bit of an air pocket in there. And this is doing very nicely. I love this rice paper. I love it. I am hopefully going to do some ornaments with it because I love it that much. I have a tree in my house that's got all Santas on it because I have collected Santas for many, many, many years, and I am going to put this ornament on my Santa tree because if you can see, there's Santa, a very vintage Santa, but he's there. Okay, and of course I didn't bring any sandpaper. That's done. I don't see any bubbles. I don't see any... Oh, wait, I do see a bubble. Maybe I can just pat that down. It's right there. The other thing is the rice paper. I love working with napkins, don't get me wrong, because there's just so many things you can do with them. But the rice paper is not quite as temperamental, and it's a little more forgiving. So if you press a little too hard, or you know, you do something that you shouldn't have, it doesn't rip and tear. Although, as I've said before, it's very easy to fix those kinds of things. You just have to look back and see where you've made a mistake and then fix it. Very easy. Okay, I'm going to leave that now. It has to dry. I'm going to put my brush into my water. I have my baby food jar full of water here. And I'm going to go on to the next step, which is to put the stripes on your box. Now, I'm going to do it on this side, which I've left undone for you to see. And I've got a ruler and a pencil. This is a chalk pencil, but you can just use a regular pencil. And on the wider side, which this is the wider side, I'm measuring in 1 centimeter from the edge on the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to measure in 1 centimeter from the other edge, and from those lines I'm going to measure every 2 centimeters. There we go. Oops, what has happened here? 2, 5, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. It's not leaving enough space there. I wonder if... Oh, I did... You know what? Let me look at the back of this. Oh, I made a mistake. See how quickly you forget. On the wider side, I'm going to erase those lines. On the wider side, you only go in 1/2 centimeter, not 1 centimeter. You go in 1 centimeter on the narrower side. That, I guess, is important for you to know. So it's lucky I made that mistake, or I may have forgotten to tell you. So let's do this again. 1/2 centimeter. That's better. 1/2 centimeter, and then 1/2 centimeter down here. I want to do this quickly. I'm hoping it's not going to take too long. I don't want you to have to sit here watching me measuring this. But it is important that you measure it carefully and that you measure the lines in a straight way. Otherwise, you're going to have very slanted stripes. Okay, again, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And from here, oops, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then you join your lines so that you will have stripes. And I'm going to do it this way, pulling it towards myself. And later, after you've done this, you just check to make sure everything's fairly straight. Oh, I just lost some of my tip. Alright, I'm kind of concentrating, so I won't talk quite as much this video. It's because I'm concentrating on getting this right the first time. I don't want to have to redo these. And because we're going to have to tape them, I mean, if you have got a really straight eye and you don't have a problem getting things straight like I do, you don't have to tape it, but I definitely have to tape it. Okay, there's the lines. They're there. They don't look too straight to me. They look like they've gotten a little bit slanted down towards the bottom. You know, this is probably the most pernickety thing you're going to do on this project, is get these lines. See? Look at that. There's that too, not up there. This is the most pernickety thing you're going to have to do on this project, is get these lines straight. There, that's better. And of course, that alters every single line. Well, not actually, that one's pretty good. Let me see. No, still looks a little crooked. Maybe I went too big up there. I did. You know, the tiniest little bit too big, and it alters the straightness of the line. Okay, let me do this then. I don't want to, I've worked very hard on this. I do not want to spoil it as we get closer to the end. There, see, I'm off just the tiniest bit. So if I rejoin that top to that space, it's definitely straighter. Okay. Yeah, this has to, I can tell just by looking at it, it's not quite straight, just the tiniest little bit off. I'm going to just do it using my eye this time. I'm not going to bother measuring it. And hopefully I didn't mess it up. This is a gorgeous project. And like I said, you can make all sorts of different styles of these. I am going to do a Halloween one for sure. Because we do decorate for Halloween in this household. We decorate for fall. And it's just lovely to have one of these sitting on the kitchen table. There, that's fine. Okay, oh, sorry, made that very loud noise. Alright, now this is just green painter's tape, and it's very narrow. I don't know, that looks like it's about 1/4 of an inch. And that's the size you can work with most easily here. Okay, this little stripe has to be green. This is going to be buttermilk. Oh, I forgot to tell you that. I base coated this box after, no, I didn't do it. Let me think, I did this a while back. I think I base coated the box with buttermilk and the top with buttermilk. Yes, I did. I base coated the entire box with buttermilk, which is an Americana color. And there it is. Okay, so that's what I did first. I forgot to tell you that. So this stripe has to be green. Therefore, I need to tape down the buttermilk side so that I can paint this stripe green and it's nice and straight. And I go right along the line that I just put there and I press down good and hard. You really have to press it down, otherwise the paint will seep under there and it will look very messy. If it does seep, however, you can take your the tip of a brush, a pointed round, and you can fix it. Just use some buttermilk and go over it, or green, whichever is the case. And that's green, that's buttermilk, that's green. So I need to do this side. And again, this is the most pernickety part. Just to make sure you get it straight. Now, you know what? I am not going to do this whole thing. Because this is, as I said, you see? That's what I mean. Green, buttermilk, green, buttermilk, green. I'm going to do this side and that side, and then I'm going to paint this. And then I'm going to go back to the ornament part, which I think has dried. Not quite. Not quite. There is a little bit of an air bubble here on that ornament part. I'm going to fix that just by pressing on it. This is really giving me a headache. I don't know what is wrong with that little piece at the top. It keeps going very crooked. Maybe not everybody is as much as of a stickler for detail as I am, and this shouldn't probably take very long for most people. Everything takes a long time for me. Just ask anybody that knows me. Everything takes a long time. I'm a slowpoke, just like my dad was. Okay, there. That's all I'm going to do. I'm only doing that much because, as I said, this could take me a long time. And I'd rather just show you what to do. So I am putting this piece of tape on here, nice and straight along that line. And I am pushing it down good and hard on the edge that you're going to put the paint on. That edge has to be nice and straight. I'm going to measure this because it looks to me, okay, that is, oh, my eye is deceiving me today because that is absolutely perfect. Can't believe that. Okay, there we go. Push this side down, push this side down, and I'm ready to paint it. I'm going to paint with Avacado. I'm going to use this Avacado from Stamperia. It's Stamperia's Allegro paint. It's absolutely beautiful. It comes out and it spreads so smoothly, and it's just so nice and thick and creamy, and I love it. So there it is. It's on my paper, ready to go. And a little bit of water into my brush, and I'm going to just paint these stripes. Now I will tell you that I did use 3 coats of paint because the color that was coming up was not quite what I wanted, so I painted 3 coats of paint. I also painted the top solidly, and I may have to put some of this paint back because it looks like I might have a bit too much. This is a very old brush that I just use for this kind of stuff. Oh, and I don't want it going up over there because, as you can see, I've already put the gold accent on there. So I don't really want this paint going over there. If I was doing this normally, I would do everything at the same time. I would have painted all of the green before I started putting on the gold. But I wanted to show it to you mostly completed, and then I wanted to show you the process. So here's one stripe, and just rub off that edge, and then here's a second stripe. You can use wider painter's tape. It's a little more involved because it's wider, and it takes up more of your other stripe, but you can. I just found this worked very easily for me, and of course I had it in the house. If you don't, then you use something that's a little bit wider. That'll be fine. Now this is going to dry fairly quickly too, and I can probably put a second coat on very shortly. I'm going to also paint the bottom a stripe of green. I probably don't need to do that, but nobody's really going to take it upside down and look at it except me. There we go, that's that one. And if you saw the back of this, this has got a little slide-in slot. It's right there. You can see the space for it right at the bottom. And that is for, oops, I just stuck my hand in the wet paint. That is for this little thing. And this goes, it slides into that space and it keeps the tissue box in your holder. So this has to be painted as well because it is going to show. And the outside piece is buttermilk. So I'm going to paint this while that's drying. I'm just going to paint this. I've already taped it and I've already pressed it down nice and hard. Here we go. Move it over a bit. I still do that. I still put it close to me so that I can see it easily, and then you can't see it, which isn't the point of this. Okay, this only takes a second and we'll leave this to dry as well. And this one. Now if I did make a mistake in where I put the green, although it would be a bit of a trouble to repaint it buttermilk, I can do that. You can always repaint, and it may take a while. Like you might use an undercoat, like maybe a gray, and then put the buttermilk on. Okay, that's going to dry over there. I think these stripes are dry enough. I'm going to put a second coat on here. They take a little longer to dry after you put your second coat on than they do for the first. There we go. And this second coat on here. You know, it's almost looking right now like it doesn't need it, but if I've put 3 coats everywhere, I should do that on this side as well. And then I'm going to go right back to the ornamentation that goes on the front and work on that so you can see how to do that. And maybe while that is drying, I will do that. I'll go back to this. I hope it's dry. Dry enough. It's not 100%. Like I said, it's hot today. And let's try doing that. Okay. Now, I didn't bring sandpaper, so that little bit of excess right there is just going to have to stay there until I get some sandpaper over here. I don't have anything else here that will take it off. And there's a little tiny bit of it over here. And it went flat. Can you see? It is flat. Now, on the last video that I did, I used one of these stomper things. And this is terrific. It's a little sponge and it really does a great job of filling in areas like around this wreath. So I'm going to put out the colors that I used on the other piece, and that was a little bit of the buttermilk. So I'm going to put that out onto my palette paper if it wants to come out. This is, you can see this is a color that I use a lot of. And I'm going to put out just the tiniest bit of green. I don't need a lot of this color, the Avacado Stamperia green, just a little bit. And I'm going to put out some Ivory Stamperia Allegro paint. Oops, a little bit more than I wanted. And I need a touch of nougat for under Santa's feet, because that looks like the color. I tried to match it as well as I could. It looks like the color that's under there, under his feet. Now, I'm going to take this, put a little bit of buttermilk onto my sponge and stomp it out on my palette paper. I don't want it to be heavy, and I want it to be worked into the sponge so that I can go back into my piece here and just pounce it all around the wreath. Now what this is going to do is blend those edges, the edges that are hard to see but you can see them if you're looking at them from my perspective. Blend these edges in. And I need to mix that now with a little bit of the ivory, because that is more the color of the background of this piece. It's more ivory and buttermilk combined. So I'm going to do that, go in there with the ivory, come up against Santa but not on top of him. I do have my Q-tips handy in case I make a little mistake. Now on this one, as you can see, a little bit of green. So I'm going to put a little bit of green in just because it looks nice. Picks up all the green from the wreath and from the greenery in the photo, in the picture, and I'm just going to put it there around the outside edge. Now you've got to be careful because the green is pretty dark. You don't want to use too much of it. And this takes a little bit of time, this blending and going in and out and with the different colors. And I'm going to blend this in a bit more using, this is ivory now. And I'm going to put in some buttermilk as well. And you have to keep pouncing your sponge before you put it back down onto your work, because if you don't, you're going to get big globs of paint. There, look at that. That's turning out very nicely. And I went a little bit too much green here, so I'm just going to fix that by putting some buttermilk over top of it, and maybe even a little bit more. I don't want too much green, I just want a hint. There, that looks good. Maybe blend it in here. It's easy, very easy to blend with this sponge. There we go. Now I'm going to do some more buttermilk up at the top here and some more ivory. Looks like I may have needed all that ivory. You see, things happen for a reason. Because Santa really does look very ivory over here rather than buttermilk. And do you notice the way the edges are totally disappearing? Like you can't even see them anymore. And I'm going to go down here a little bit too, because I'm still not crazy about the green over here. Maybe it's still a tiny bit too much. There we go, that's better. Okay, then I'm going to keep going around. Go over here with the ivory. I think on the one that I've already done, on the left side, I did mostly ivory and not too much buttermilk. It was more buttermilky on the bottom and on the left hand and on the right hand side. And I'm going to need some more buttermilk because I didn't put very much out. Now if you get some bumps with your sponge, that's kind of cool. I don't know if you can see that, because it gives texture to the background. And I really like that. So don't worry about it. I will tell you, however, that if you keep sponging, that bumpy stuff will go away. Now I'm going to flip over here, because this little part down here at the bottom is where Santa's boots are, and he has to be blended in with a dark with another color. And that's the color. It was the nougat, I think. Yes, it was the nougat that I'm using here. Now if you get a little bit of paint on the actual rice paper, that's okay. You can have your damp Q-tip ready and just take it off. And you can take that down a little bit. Do you see the way I brought it down? Flip it around. And I'm going to blend that into a little bit of, and again, don't forget to pounce, a little bit of buttermilk and ivory down here, and just blend it in. I don't want to get rid of it. I really like the way that looks. I might even put a little bit more in there. just to make sure that we can see that that's where Santa is standing. These vintage Santas are so cool. You know, it's funny because I've been collecting, I told you I've been collecting Santas for a long time, and I don't have any vintage Santas. So if anybody that buys me a Christmas present is listening, that would be a very nice Christmas gift, a really vintage Santa. Maybe somebody could go antique hunting. There. Now, there's a little bit of that color above here as well. Now, I didn't wet my Q-tip, so I got a little bit of, oh no, it's not paint actually. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of the nougat on top as well, because you can see that it's going that color up on the side there. Oh, I like that. Okay, now, flipping it around again, I'm going to continue with the ivory. Now, if you feel like you aren't getting close enough to your image, you can always go in with a little brush or the tip of your round and just kind of go into those areas that look like, oh, well, you know what? I might need something there because that looks like I can see an edge around the image. Now I want a tiny little bit of green over here too, and remember, tiny little bit of paint, otherwise it's going to get very dark, and you don't want that. So here we go. The reason why I'm doing the whole thing here, everybody, is because it's really hard to tell what this is going to look like unless the whole thing is done. I need to get a little bit more buttermilk paint. So just bear with me for 1 second while I put some more buttermilk out. And oh, that didn't really cause a problem, and it's not sticking, so that's good. I can take that little piece there, it's not sticking, it's not causing a problem. I can just take it off after the fact, which doesn't always happen. Lots of times it sticks and you can't get it off. This time I was lucky, since I forgot the sandpaper. I didn't think I was going to need sandpaper, that's why I didn't have it here. That just goes to show you. Alright, and maybe a little bit of, you can play with this, you can do this really any way you like. You know, you don't have to be a stickler for the details. And I almost said grandma. My little grandson just popped his head around the door, and so I almost said grandma on the video. Grandma's working and doing this. I almost told him I was. So if you heard me, if you ever hear me say grandma, that's why. Because one of the kids will appear, and I'll kind of be thinking about them as I'm working. Anyway, there we go. Look at that. Just about done. I may need to go back in here. I think I will actually, but I won't do that right now. I'm going to go back in with a little paintbrush and go in around some of these, the berries and maybe some of the evergreen. Because I can see, especially down at the bottom, I can see an area here that looks like it's missing paint. And if you go in too close to that, you're going to get paint all over your image, which you really don't want to do. So I'm going to leave that as is, and then I will go back in there later, and I will fix that problem. And I will make sure that I remember to show you that when I show you the finished project. And I'm going to put a little more brown here. I really like the way that looks, but I need to go in with the paintbrush because it's getting on the wreath, and I'm just going to take it down over here. Now these little sponges, which are available on our site on Designaholic, studio.com are great. They come in 3 sizes, and in this particular project I'm using the smallest one. And then you can put them in some water and wash them out and use them a multiple number of times before you really have to dispose of them. Because of their small size, they do tend to wear out a little more quickly than the bigger ones, but they do a great job with something like this. Okay, I am going to leave that just as is, like that, for now. Although I'm going to look at the other one that I did and see, let's do a little bit of a comparison. And let's see what the difference is. Well, this one appears to be lighter. I have more green in this side. I wonder if that really matters. Well, you know what? Just to make them look a little more alike, I'll go back on this side over here, and I'm pouncing because I don't want this green dark, and I'm just going to put some green in this edge on this side, just to sort of even it out. But as you can see, it didn't go on there very smoothly, and I can see the edges, and so now I'm going to put in some ivory. And I probably should have just left this alone, because sometimes that's the best idea, to just leave it after you're done. You start, oh there, that's pretty good actually, I like that. And I'm going to put a little bit more green, and I'm going to put it over here. And you can see that there's just a titch of green on here on my sponge. Look at that, hardly any, so that I don't get a mass of dark green. And because if you do that, you're going to be very upset. So just be very careful with how much green you put on. And let's see, move back from it. Here, I like that. I'm going to leave it now, because the more I play with it, the more I get into trouble. Just make sure you don't have any edges. Keep your edges nice and smooth. Like I see a little edge there, so you blend that in. And I'm going to need a sip of my coffee in my Christmas mug any second now. So I might have to stop for a half a second and just have a sip. There, I think that's done. Okay, I'm popping this into the water because this one is a new one and I don't want it to get destroyed. And I'm going to put that down, let that dry a little bit, because like everything else, it's wet. And I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to do my third coat of green, oh, wrong brush. Third coat of green paint, just so you see exactly what it looks like with 3 coats on it. And here we go. There. Now I've got my brush on the side this time, and the reason I did that is, like I said, I do not want green paint all over the gold. That worked fairly well to keep it off there. Yeah, it needed the 3rd coat. That is personal taste, by the way. You don't have to do 3 coats if you don't want to. If you're happy with 2, then just do 2. It just makes the green a nice rich dark color when you put 3 coats on, rather than just sort of a, especially with your first coat. With your first coat, it's just a wishy-washy color, and you don't really want that. And you can't put it down because that's wet over there. And just a little bit there, and there we go. Okay, I'm going to put that back down. That's got 3 coats. Oh, you know what I can do right now? I can rip off the tape so that you can see what it looks like. And this piece, for some reason, isn't as long. It's because I just sort of eyed it. And there we go. And that is how nicely those stripes come out. I get that off my table. There, look at that. They just come out beautifully. And when you press down good and hard on the edges of that tape, you get a nice straight clean edge. You know, I don't have to go back in and fix this at all. It's perfect. What I will do at the end is if I see any pencil left there, I'll go back in and erase that. So this project is coming to being finished quite quickly. Now I'm going back to this and I'm looking at the edge. And I think I'm going to do that edge. I did do that edge with the green. So I'm going to do that again, because you don't want two sides that are entirely different. So I'm going to go over this edge with green paint. And I'm using a flat brush, which we also have at designaholicstudio.com. And I'm using it because that flat edge goes right nicely up against the edge of the coaster shape. And I have to lift this up a bit so I can paint under it. And it might stick it, but I'll resolve that later. Sorry, that little frog seems to be back again today in my throat. And around I go, and I'm probably only going to do 2 coats on this, because afterwards you'll see I'm okay, I have to get that off my finger or it's going to get everywhere. You'll see what I'm going to do with the gold. I'm going to use this. This is Metalique Vintage Gold Wax. And I'm going to use this all around the edges and the side of this focal point. And this is, I think, Finnabair. And it is also available on the site. So if you want some, it's there. You don't have to chase after it anywhere. And you can get everything that you need on the site. One-stop shopping. That's the kind of shopping I like. I have really started with the pandemic. I've been doing a lot of online shopping, and I just like to be able to go to one place and find a whole lot of things. I don't want to have to keep changing sites to find this and to find that. So that is why we are using product that we carry, so that you don't have to do that. You don't have to go here, there, and everywhere to find what you need if you want to do one of these projects. Now, got a little bit of green on the edge. All right, now that edge needs a second coat, and I really should do that because I will be putting some gold on the edge of this. But what should I do? Oh, I know what I have to do. I forgot. And I didn't bring the brush to do it, so I'm going to have to ad lib, and I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, let me take a sip of my coffee from my lovely Christmas mug, which was a Christmas gift from a very close and loving friend of mine. She knows I love, above all else, the Christmas spirit time. It's cold, but it's still good. Okay, I wonder if this is dry enough to just put the second coat on. Let's try that. I know I'm rushing through these things, and sometimes that doesn't work, because if you rush the drying process, it doesn't always dry properly. But I should be able to put another coat on here. And I'm going to do that because I want to do the gold around the outside edge. And I want to show you how to do that, and I want to show you how to do the gold on the edge of this piece. And I am wearing this color green everywhere, all over my fingers. Luckily not on my clothes, which is a miracle. Because when I paint, which is something I also do, I'm a decorative painter, I manage to get paint absolutely everywhere. All on my clothing. I have sweatshirts that I have totally ruined because I've been wearing them when I was painting, and there's paint all over them. And I don't mean massive amounts of paint, just like dabs of paint here and dabs of paint there. There, that's done, and I think that's done well enough that I can put gold on there and it'll look lovely. Okay, now I think what I'll do here is start with the box, let that have a good chance to dry. I'm trying to get it out of my way, not working very well. Without moving it, there we go. Okay, this is what this wax looks like. And this is a fairly new product to us, and we're really enjoying it, and I'm getting to use it a lot. All right, I'm going to put stuck here. You can see that I was using it on this napkin earlier to do some of the edges. I'm going to put a little bit of on here, and I was wiping it off before, but I think I'm not going to. I think I'm going to just put it on. And this is an old one of those little spongy things. This is made by Plaid, and this is called a spouncer. That's what they call it. And I am just putting a little bit of the gold up on the top edge, bringing it down a little bit. This is the reason why I'm using this for this is because it is old and it's already beginning to break. And they will do that, but it takes a long time for that to happen. And I'm just going to bring some of the gold down this edge. And I'm doing this now because I want to show you how to do that. Now, you don't have to use too heavy a hand. Just depends on how gold you want it to look. And I'm happy with that, so I'm going to leave that alone. Now, I'm going to put some on the ivory as well, the buttermilk section. And you're really just placing it and playing with it. Just don't put too much on because it does tend to go a long way. And I think I'm going to have to throw this spouncer out when I'm done because it looks like it's had the biscuit. There. That's all I'm going to do there. Then I'm going to go to the bottom. Oh, what I might do is a little bit along this edge. There we go. A little bit along the edge. I don't know if it's even going on there. And I'm going to do some on the bottom as well. The more you put on, the deeper the gold is. Sometimes if you're doing it, you end up with just enough gold to see it when you turn your piece, but other times you get enough gold to really notice it. And it does, you should be working at it and, you know, not taking little breaks here and there because it does tend to kind of get a little bit dry, which is what it's supposed to do, of course. You're not supposed to have it wet all the time. And once it gets a little dry, you can't move it around. So play with it, get it finished, and then leave it and go do whatever you want to do. And don't start it unless you've got the time to finish it. There, that's all I'm going to do, just to show you what it looks like. I hope you can see it. Oh, there, yeah, it looks like it's pretty gold. And that will be on the side. Now I am going to do a little bit as well. I painted the lid in the green, and I am going to do a little bit up here. Not a ton. This just gives the box itself a vintage look. I tried to do the focal piece without doing anything to the box, just putting the stripes on, and it just did not look right. The stripes with nothing on them looked very today, and the focal point looked very yesteryear, so it didn't work. So that's why I decided to go in with some of the gold. on the top and the bottom. Now if you're finding that that's not working enough, that you need it to move a little bit more, just take a piece of paper towel and work it. There we go, that's good. Okay, now I'm going to continue to do that all along the top of this box, around the edges. I'm not going to go all the way across. I'm not putting gold everywhere. I just want to add some detail to the edging, and I may go around this section. Now I'm going to put that back aside. I know I'm jumping from spot to spot, but it's so that you don't have to just watch me doing one thing the whole time. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing, and you can see what's happening now too, because this is so old it's starting to disintegrate, so it definitely goes to the garbage after this project. I'm going to put some of the gold on the edges here, and sometimes it looks like it's not even going on. There, it wasn't going on. And that's how you do it. You just, actually it's easier on this piece to use the side, except for this particular spouncer, which is really done. So it's not holding its shape very well. And well, I really like this. I think these need to be ornaments. So I may just do that eventually, because after I'm done with Christmas in August, I'd like to do some fall things, and I would like to do some Halloween things, and I can't do that if I do a ton more ornaments. Maybe I'll wait until we get a little bit closer to Christmas to do more of those. Wow. I don't know if you can see the gold. And I don't know if I was working off of the camera. I get so engrossed in what I'm doing that half the time I forget that I'm on camera. Now what I'm also going to do then is take this same thing, and there's lots on there so I don't really need to put any more, and I'm just going around the edges with the spouncer, and I'm putting some gold on the green, and that will come off later, as I've said 10 times already. You must get bored with me repeating myself. And you just go around the outside edge so that you have some gold on there, and you can see the gold. I know you can. Alright, now do I need any more is the question. Let's take a look and compare it to the one that's already done. Do I need any more? You know what? Maybe a tiny little bit. Maybe there needs to be some sections that are heavier than others. And like this one right here. Bring the gold down further. That's because there's a fair amount of space there, so you can do that. Don't do it if you're really restricted for space. There, that smoothed it out a bit, and I've got more space here, so I'll put a little more gold in there. But I'm not going to get carried away. The other good thing about using the spouncer is that it tends to hold the wax in it so that you don't have to keep refreshing it. But you do have to press down a little harder when you want to use the wax. It's still in there. Oh yeah, that looks really nice. Okay, that's done. I'm not going to do any more of that. There we go. It's finished. Put the lid back on here. I really like this metallic wax as well. And there's lots in there. It looks like there's not very much, but there's a ton. And you can use it over and over again. Alright, that is now finished. Okay, I think we're at the point now where I'm going to stop and finish this up. But I'm not going to do it online. I'm going to finish it and then I'm going to bring it back completely finished, show it to you varnished, and let you see how beautiful it is. This will be glued onto the middle of the other side, just like that, so that you have one on both sides. You have one there, sorry, I'm twisting my own arms around, and you have one on this side. I will varnish it and I will bring it back finished, and you get to see this gorgeous Kleenex box from start to done. Hi everybody, it's Veronica from DesignAholicStudio.com. I am back for a few seconds just to show you the finished product. The beautiful tissue box that I was working on in the last video. I've cleaned everything up. There's no mess around me. I wanted this to be the focal point and I didn't want you to be looking at all the stuff that I used. I finished it up. It's varnished. The top is varnished. You can see the gold that I put around the edge of the top. There's the front with the beautiful stripes and the gold that goes across the top and down the side and across the bottom. And then there are the sides. There's the other side. I'm going to flip it back and flip it over. There's the back. I did this beautiful piece on the video. I didn't glue it on the video. I just glued it on after I was done. I did the gold across the top here. This is the little piece that slides out so that you can get your tissue box into your holder. It's white. I may paint it green, but I haven't decided that. I'm the only one that's going to see this because I'm keeping this for myself. So I probably will just leave it as is. It's completely finished. It's all varnished. I'm very happy with it. I can't wait to put it up on my dresser. I'm getting a new dresser in a beautiful walnut color. I think this is going to look absolutely gorgeous on it. Anyway, all the products that I used are available at DesignAholicStudio.com. I've linked them in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm wishing you a very fun and happy crafting day, and leaving you with my mantra, try it, you'll love it.